the latest from the ZDTV newsroom.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Mack for ZDTV News. Former computer hacker Kevin Mitnick has been ordered to get off the lecture circuit or risk going back to prison. Mitnick was released on probation in January after nearly 5 years in federal prison. Under a plea agreement after his release, Mitnick was barred for 3 years from any access to computers or the internet. Instead, Mitnick has reportedly lined up $20,000 in speaking engagements. He says federal probation officials have told him to stop speaking or writing about technology issues and calls that a violation of his free speech rights. Now, for more on the Justice Department's recommendation that Microsoft be broken into 2 separate companies, check out our website at zdtvnews.com. And stay tuned for more news in 1 hour.
Today on Gamespot TV, we look at some up-and-coming titles for the PlayStation 2. Driving fans, take note. Ridge Racer 5 shipped with the new console in Japan, and we review the import. And we kick butt and go bowling afterwards in our preview of Tekken Tag Tournament. Plus, we step into the dark realms with a sneak peek at Diablo 2. Stick around, it's game time. Welcome to another edition of Gamespot TV. I'm Adam Sessler.
And I'm Kate Patello.
And I'm very glad you are. How are you settling into the show?
Pretty well. Although, you know, I realized this week that I was going to have to buy a Dreamcast for work.
Life is so hard, isn't it?
Yeah. So before everybody hates both of us, let's talk about what's coming up on the show.
All right, well, we're looking at 2 PlayStation 2 games. We have an import review of Ridge Racer 5 and a sneak peek at Tekken Tag Tournament.
All right, we're also going to finish up our opening day hysteria with a review of All-Star Baseball 2001 for the N64. And we're finally taking a look at the sequel to my favorite game of all time, Diablo.
Yes, a very good thing. Yes, we're going to look at the opening movie.
What a lovely transition.
The shelves of your local video and game store are probably beginning to look more alike these days. Many big-budget action films have games based on them. Do these games attempt to capitalize on the movie's name, or are they quality entertainment in their own right? They can range from the good to the bad to the really, really ugly. Disney's recent batch of computer-animated films, A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, and Tarzan, all have games attached to them. The games all look similar to the films themselves, so the graphics are good. But what about gameplay? A Bug's Life is the weakest of the trio. It looks great, but not much thought was put into gameplay.
I need more grain.
Toy Story 2 is a fun, straightforward adventure game with puzzle and platform elements. The strongest recent Disney film tie-in game is Tarzan. It looks and sounds great and really puts you into the fast pace of the movie. So what about games based on live-action films? The most eagerly anticipated and successful movie can inspire one dud of a game. Well, sometimes these games are released as a tool to help market the movie, much like an electronic Happy Meal. Look at the highest-grossing film of last year, The Phantom Menace. The film played to varied reviews, but no matter what you thought of Jar Jar, it brought in the crowds and the cash. However, the review of the film's spin-off games have been mixed. Phantom Menace's game of the same name has been met by an abysmal response. It has managed to disappoint just about everyone, even the most dedicated Jedi fanatics.
Doors open.
LucasArts was under extreme pressure to finish this title in time to be released with the film. As is so often the case, the game could have been better if they'd had more time to develop it and not tried to market the film through the game.
Misa Jar Jar Binks.
Episode 1 Racer has fared better in the eyes of players. This game takes what is arguably the most entertaining and intense sequence in the film and recreates it in a challenging and beautiful gameplay environment. Here's an example of a game that takes a film sequence and actually improves upon it. We said we'd mention the good and the bad, and now, here's the ugly. The Fifth Element game. Though the Bruce Willis film did well at the box office, it was made into a putrid game.
I am a little disappointed.
The gameplay is awkward, the levels are simplistic, and the graphics are just plain awful. In fact, the only solace Bruce can take is that the character in the game looks nothing like him. Alien vs. Predator did a very interesting thing with two successful movie franchises. It combined them. The result is a fabulous game that was one of the most frightening and well-reviewed of last year. The undisputed champion of games made from films, however, is GoldenEye. It's the title that all other spy games are measured up against. It's a multi-level, first-person shooter that lets the player actually become James Bond. And who doesn't want to be James Bond? While it may have been one of the more forgettable Bond films, GoldenEye is the best Bond game by far and is among the best all-around games on the market. When looking at all film-based games, the question we have to ask as gamers is, why was this game developed? Was it created just to make money from the movie tie-in, or was it produced to stand on its own as an innovative game? That question can go the other way as we see more games currently in production as major films. Lara Croft will get her day at the Cineplex when Tomb Raider the movie's finished. The next incarnation of Final Fantasy is in production as both a movie and a new game. In any case, the line between films and games will likely become less distinct as games become more cinematic and realistic.
You know, right now I'm playing the gold edition of Aliens vs. Predator, and it still amazes me just how much that game can completely scare me, even though it's in a cube and all the fluorescent lights are on.
Yeah, I had to bring you a blankie yesterday.
You know.
Yeah, well. So I'm playing Jedi Power Battles. Hating it.
Oh well. Let's have some game news. Sony Entertainment Incorporated will continue to export the PlayStation 2 console. However, the Ministry of International Trade and Industry told the company that the PS2 could not be shipped to Iran, Iraq, Libya, and North Korea. It has been demonstrated that the PS2's technology can be adapted for military use, specifically in guiding missiles and decoding equipment. Bloomberg reports that the PlayStation 2 U.S. launch will include a modem and a hard drive, although details regarding price, speed, and capacity are not available. It has been reported that the drive and modem will be built in rather than sold separately. Sony believes the accessories will allow the PlayStation 2 to compete with the Sega Dreamcast, which has a built-in 56K modem. For the latest in gaming news, go to the Gamespot.com website.
Or click on over to the show's site for more info on transforming movies into games.
You'll also find reviews, as well as video game trailers that are more cinematic than many you'll see on the big screen. All of it in streaming video. Coming up on Gamespot TV, get your peanuts and popcorn. We review the best N64 baseball title ever.
Welcome back. Baseball season is upon us,
Yes.
and indoor enthusiasts can step up to the plate with a cornucopia of video baseball goodness.
Yes, we've seen Sammy Sosa High Heat Baseball 2001 for the PC and Triple Play 2001 for the PlayStation.
And now it's the N64's turn with All-Star Baseball 2001, and we played it.
And we enjoyed it.
Indeed, and it's easily the best for the system. Here's the review.
All-Star Baseball 2001 has proved that the N64 does not preclude quality sports games. For those hankering for the arcade experience, single-button pitches and swings are the norm, while realists can enable variable pitching and batting simulation cursors. All-Star Baseball 2001 sees the return of the 3D batting angle system, which, when coupled with the game's subtle pitch guessing feature, gives the title the best control mechanics of any currently available baseball title.
Line drive.
All-Star Baseball 2001's offensive and defensive interfaces are a joy to experience, with intuitive control systems, quick response, and the feeling that you are indeed in control. The pacing is spot on, and the management interface is both stylish and simple. The gameplay will please both casual and hardcore sports fans. The fact that they fit all 30 teams, 35 stadiums, more than 700 players, and a smattering of Hall of Famers on a cartridge is amazing. All-Star Baseball 2001's visuals are crisp, clear, colorful, and full of depth, though the same cannot be said for the sound.
The pitch is fouled away.
The play-by-play is exceptional but devoid of variety, and crowd noise is minimal, and the various organ music embarrassing. Regardless of sound issues, All-Star Baseball 2001 is the best console baseball game, bar none. The visuals are photorealistic, the gameplay itself borders on perfect, and the variety of game modes and multiplayer options offer high replay value. Video Games gives All-Star Baseball 2001 a 9.2 out of 10.
A 3-run home run.
Even though the N64 isn't the sports game platform, the All-Star Baseball series has been consistently strong, showing that the system can actually handle sports titles.
Thankfully, but what it doesn't have much of are those Resident Evil-style action-adventure games. Yet there is another one on the PlayStation that's following right on the heels of Fear Effect. This one's called Galarians. With an obvious nod to the anime Akira, Crave's Galarians comes to the PlayStation, featuring medication-dependent psychics that can do more than bend spoons.
Who am I?
You play Ryan, a boy who finds himself in a hospital bed, robbed of his memories due to experiments that gave him psychic powers. Now Ryan can destroy foes with just a thought, and also sense his way through obstacles, such as being able to envision where a key is for a particular door. With these powers, Ryan pursues a quest for the truth. This is not as easy as it looks. As you use your powers, you run the risk of having episodic shorts, sort of a migraine that automatically kills your opponents, but also drains your hit points. In addition, your offensive powers are limited. By taking the right medication, you recover from your shorts, and your power supply is rejuvenated. Your sensing ability is unique, though it does lend to the game's major drawback, for you spend most of your time running around finding the right items, which can get tiresome after a while. As this is a Resident Evil-like survival horror game, keep tabs on those pesky perspective changes, or you'll be subjected to the death by camera angle. The audio effects and the tense soundtrack complements the eye-catching visuals. Held up against Silent Hill and Fear Effect, Galarians falls short, though it's much better than Carrier. Galarians proves that psychics do have a place in console gaming, and this title would be more of a contender if there wasn't so much fetching to do. Videogames.com gives Galarians a 7.3 out of 10. Not only does fetching in a game really annoy me, but it seems to stretch the boundaries of reality that no one can ever keep their important items with them.
Yeah, hello.
No one can
Get
ever
a backpack. Big backpack. Anyway, moving on. Not all of us are psychic enough to win every game, you know. Sometimes you just gotta cheat. Ridge Racer 64.
With its unique power sliding feature, Ridge Racer 64 has become an instant classic among console racers. To get more out of this game, try the following tricks. Enter any Grand Prix race, then as you floor it, turn the other way. You'll run into a wall, but as you keep driving into it, you'll break free, allowing you to race in the mirrored version of the track.
Great driving!
If you place first, you'll receive this flashy golf cart that actually makes for a decent racer that even drifts like the other cars.
If that's got you tantalized, then stay put. We have Ridge Racer 5 for the PlayStation 2 later in the show.
And if those Ridge Racer 64 cheats slip by a little too quick to jot down, then race to the Gamespot TV website.
There you'll find more tips, tricks, and cheats than you can wave a checkered flag at.
Yes, and while you're there, be sure to scope out our Spring Fever Roundup. We give you box seats to the latest reviews of the latest baseball video games. And don't forget your Cracker Jacks. Coming up on Gamespot TV, we have a review of Silent Bomber, a brilliantly fast-paced new action platformer from Bandai.
Welcome back. Yes, Tekken Tag Tournament is just around the corner, but first we'd like to give some attention to a game that isn't awash in hype.
If such a thing exists.
Yeah,
No, actually, I really do enjoy those games that I find out are good all by myself. They actually tend to stay in the console longer.
Well, making its quiet entry is Silent Bomber, which may definitely be one of those titles. Check it out.
Taking its cues from distinct titles like Metal Gear Solid, Bomberman, and Trap Gunner, Silent Bomber comes to the PlayStation as one of this season's surprise hits, courtesy of Bandai. You are Utah Fate, a man with a vague past who is solely driven by the missions he is assigned.
Every day I awaken from the same nightmare.
As you guide Utah through the game's well-balanced levels, you have to deal with a non-stop barrage of foes ranging from mindless drones to lightsaber-wielding mechs. This is where bomb planting comes in, which can be as simple as pressing a button or using lock-on bombs directly on your foes. There's also the combo system, a technique that allows you to plant bombs on multiple targets at one time. When you're ready to detonate, just press triangle and kaboom! Your targets are not just your enemies. Everything from glass windows to gun turrets is fair game, and sometimes the debris will reveal usable items. These items include E-chips, which boost your stats according to preference, and material liquids, which are deadly offensive weapons. If you need a breather from your missions, try the VR Arena, a 2-player versus mode with 12 characters to choose from. Some of the matchups are unbalanced, yet it's still a fun way to get a second player involved. The graphics are spot on, blending sci-fi surroundings and pyrotechnic effects at a comfortable frame rate. With incredible control and a compelling and wholesome environment, Silent Bomber is more than a treat, proving that Bandai is capable of more than just their Gundam games. Videogames.com gives Silent Bomber an 8.2 out of 10.
The fact that a limited 2-player mode was added to Silent Bomber serves as an important reminder that you gotta be able to play games with other people.
Yes, you've got to show off your skills. And fighting games are probably the best for beating down your friends.
Nice!
Well, it's that idea of violence and friendship in mind that we're going to take our long-awaited peek at Tekken Tag Tournament for the PlayStation 2. Tekken Tag Tournament is an upgrade to Tekken 3 with the addition of a few new moves. These new moves are evident in the Tekken 2 characters that have been brought back and need a little help to compete against their Tekken 3 buddies. As the title indicates, the game also includes the same tag team style fighting in games like Street Fighter EX3 and Dead or Alive 2. However, unlike other tag battle fighters, the fight ends only after one fighter has been defeated, rather than letting it continue on as a one-on-two fight. There is a one-on-one game included, as well as the standard team battle, time attack, and survival modes. One of the more interesting unlockable modes in the import version is the Tekken Bowl mode, which lets you toss glimmer globes at Heihachi-headed bowling pins. It doesn't take much to figure out that the game has taken a huge leap forward graphically. The arcade version looks downright ugly by comparison. One interesting element of the Japanese version of the game that many have noticed is the contrast between the ground and backdrops. The ground seems to be a spinning platform surrounded by a near-stationary background. This same problem has been in all Tekken games, but it's curious that it still appears with the power of the PlayStation 2 behind it. That said, Tekken Tag Tournament is promising the same good old solid Tekken experience that has made the series such a standout. Of course, nothing will be certain until it arrives on our shores, hopefully alongside the PlayStation 2 later this year. For more fist-flying action, go to the Gamespot TV website, where you'll find our Tekken Tag Tournament preview in streaming video.
And while you're there, don't forget to submit a video game haiku for your chance to win a Shenmue prize pack. Now here's an example of a Tekken Tag Tournament haiku. Oh, Eddie Gordo, your capoeira can't match my panda style.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Coming up on Gamespot TV, we have an import review of Ridge Racer 5 for the PlayStation 2. Good, you're still here because we have something big for you.
Well, you know, it's my first episode of the show, our first import review, and I, too, am an import.
Synergy. Synergy. Yes, we got our hands on the Japanese version of Ridge Racer 5, and we've cast our critical eye upon it. And believe me, there's a lot to look at.
3, 2, 1, go!
The best way to describe Ridge Racer 5 is to say that it returns to the general driving style of games like Ridge Racer and Ridge Racer Revolution. Graphically, Ridge Racer 5 is the most impressive of the Japanese PlayStation 2 launch titles. It looks like other Ridge Racer titles, but without the pop-up and pixelated vehicles and environments. Little things like trees on the side of the tracks and the glow from your brake pads as you brake around corners really brings a lot to the game. On top of that, the cars are well designed, and the almost too shiny look of your car is pretty amazing. That's not to say they're flawless. The game has a very aliased appearance that makes the edges of cars and tracks look very jagged. The third-person view is also much closer to your car than in previous games and takes some getting used to. The gameplay is focused around the Grand Prix mode, the mode that gets you additional cars, trophies, and engines. The standard mode starts you out with a base car that can be improved upon through your success. The track design is pretty standard fare. Each track uses a lot of the same portions of road, and many of the stretches are heavily influenced by the original Ridge Racer. Differing environments would have been nice, and as a result, it has a limited replay value. The car's handling in the game is similar to older titles in that there is a greater emphasis on power sliding. The control itself is excellent with the DualShock 2 controller, although it isn't clear if analog gas and braking make much of a difference. Ridge Racer 5 is a great-looking game that is sure to appeal to older Ridge Racer fans. Players that got into the series around the third or fourth game may be a little disappointed with the car handling. It does feel rushed with its track design, and one hopes that the aliasing issue will be resolved before its release in the US. Videogames.com gives the imported version of Ridge Racer 5 a 7.7 out of 10.
There goes the winner.
Now, while Ridge Racer 5 wasn't completely overwhelming, it's important to bear in mind that many Japanese launch titles aren't terribly strong as they're rushed out for the new system. But there is a lot to be excited about for the future.
Well, speaking of excitement, after many a missed release date, Diablo 2 is finally in beta and on its way.
You'll believe it when I see it.
He shall mete out his vengeance upon all flesh, and the blood of innocents shall run as great torrents.
See? What did I say? What did I say?
All right, so have you gotten to play the beta?
Yes.
And do you like it?
Yes.
Can I borrow it?
No. Well, I'm using it for a preview so that I can show it to, the people. Yeah.
All right, so in the interim, make sure you come over to the Gamespot TV website and check out that movie many a time over, and tell a friend.
Indeed. And don't forget to submit your video game haiku for many a Shenmue goodie. And now, for inspiration, I will give you my Ode on a Quake server. Bang, 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 boom, bang, 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 dang.
Very good.
Thanks.
And this is mine for Ghosts and Goblins. Arthur, run for love. Demons, zombies will not win. Without pants, it's cold. If you need help getting those haiku juices flowing,
Like we do.
join us this Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for a chat.
Until next time, we're out.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I am a little disappointed.